is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for January 15th, 2026. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to talk a lot about San Diego tonight. We're going to hear from Mason Miller. There's a lot more from foul territory that he did that I think is important. We're also going to hear from Mikey Varas, who was on with the morning show earlier today. And I just like that guy. I like Mikey Varas. I like Mason Miller too. And we'll hear from him in just a second. But this is the final day of the week for us. We apologize for being off tomorrow, but something came up and we all decided it was best to be off. But we will be back on Tuesday and we'll be that much closer to spring training. I mean, spring training is not even creeping up right now. It is racing towards us. It's already the 15th of January. I feel like January 1st was seriously like yesterday. But everybody reports, their pitchers and catchers report on February 11th. And then I believe the rest of the team reports on February 15th. So we are under a month to go for spring training. And there's not a lot to figure out for the team. There's some to figure out for the team. But Mason Miller, in his foul territory interview, said something. We played it for you just a little bit ago, but I want to play it again for everybody who is just getting off work or just getting into the car, something like that. But if you haven't heard it, it is a definitive answer on Mason Miller's role for this season. But I got to tell you where to watch and where to listen. You can go to Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, Skraby Show, YouTube, at The Skraby Show, Skraby, B as in boy, Y. You can go to my Twitter, at Matt Skraby, or you can go to 97.3's Twitter, 97.3 The Fan SD. We're also on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube. So, Mason Miller, guy threw what? Multiple pitches last year of the playoffs of over 103 miles an hour. We've been talking about it throughout the offseason. The rumors have been there. I've never bought into the rumors. I've always pushed back against the rumors because I didn't want it to happen. But Mason Miller was asked by the foul territory crew of his what his role for the Padres will be in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an exciting conversation. It's been had year in and year out since, I did transition to the bullpen, and, I've had a lot of success, and right now to go away from that success doesn't make sense for me. In my first year in the ARB system, I'm being comped as a reliever and a pretty good reliever at that. So I'm going to keep that ball rolling right now. And I'm never going to be the guy that rules it out down the line, but I will admit it is hard to go away from something you're having a lot of success with. And, I think my value right now is that being the lockdown guy in the ninth or late in games, whatever that we need to close a game out, and being a part of a really good bullpen, something that I take pride in too. And, down the road, maybe we'll see, but this year we're looking at the bullpen.
Yeah, I love that. This year, 2026, they're looking at the bullpen. And I love his mindset because this is exactly what I've been thinking from afar. And that's why mess with something good. And so I'm happy to hear that his mindset is the same, because it's the smart thought. Why would you try and do something different after having such a great year last year and having a great year the year before? Like, keep building on this. Closers make a ton of money. So if he's worried about making money, and I don't think he really is worried about making money, closers where you want to be. Closer and starters make money. Closers definitely make money for very little work. It's high pressure, but it's not as much work as a starter. You're only going usually one inning. Starters obviously pitch every 5 days, and Mason Miller might pitch 2 days in a row, but still, if he's worried about the money being made, it's going to be there at the closer position. And I just never bought into the thought that they were actually going to move him out of the closer role. This is they let Robert Suarez go to Atlanta because they already had a plan in place. And now you have Jason Adam in the 8th inning, you have Mason Miller in the 9th inning. Whenever Jason Adam, supposedly he's supposed to be back pretty close to when the season starts, but we'll have to see about that because he did tear his quad. So that's a little bit of a big deal. But Mason Miller is a great closer. And I think we're all going to feel very comfortable when he comes into the game. He can blow the ball by everyone. He also has that nasty slider that he says all the time, he personally says is his best pitch. So I'm happy to hear that in 2026, we are going to have Mason Miller as the closer. You heard it from his mouth. And there's several different options. If he struggles throughout the year, you're not locked into Mason Miller, but with the way the Padres do things and the way the Padres have done things, they don't waver from their closer very much, even when the closer is struggling, because they want to keep the faith in they want the closer to have some confidence that the team believes that they can close the game. So Mason Miller, loving what I'm hearing. Also, this is an indication to me that we're hearing truthful things from the team through the offseason, because earlier, or I think at the winter meetings, Sammy Lev was meeting with AJ Preller, and AJ said that they're going to keep him at the closer position. So nothing has changed in the last month, and I like that. No different opinions have come out, and Mason Miller just confirmed it. Tony said something to us before he left the studio, and I completely forgot. But the automated balls and strike system is going to be a part of baseball in 2026. We're going to get to see challenges. It's going to be a part of the regular season. And I'm very interested to see strategy. I'm very interested to see how teams are going to deploy. Do certain hitters have the okay to challenge a pitch, or is it just going to come from one person? It can't come from the manager. It can only come from 3 people: the pitcher, the catcher, and the hitter. So I find this very interesting, but it's going to be a part of 2026, and pitchers are going to have to learn to deal with it. But Mason Miller was asked about ABS.
I'm extremely interested to see how it goes. I mean, we've had a little bit of experience in the minor leagues or on a rehab assignment, but seeing it at the big league level, I think will be really, really interesting. As a closer, I'm kind of hoping the other team burns up all their challenges before they get to me, because I can already see the game ends and, it's they got one challenge left. And it's like, well, we're just going to challenge it just because we have it. But we'll see. I think it'll be something really, I guess different teams will manage it different ways. So, if there's guys that aren't allowed to challenge or guys that are allowed to challenge, how does that get filtered out? As a pitcher, I'm always just going to rely on the catcher because I'm going to get too emotional with it. So I don't think you'll see me challenge a single pitch all year.
I like that. I think the catcher should be in charge of challenging the pitchers actually, because they kind of have a feel of what's a strike and what's a ball. But Mason Miller kind of on the same page as me. He thinks that maybe certain guys have challenges. This is going to be fun. I think this is going to be a wrinkle of the season that is something that we're all going to be very interested in. Now, Mason Miller, with foul territory, talked about the advantages. Craig Stammen, former reliever, he talked about the advantages of having Craig Stammen as his manager.
Hard to imagine a way that it's not going to be. I think just the awareness that Ruben and Fritz already bring from the pitching side, and then you throw in that Stan also, spent a lot of time down there, knows the conversations we're having, knows how to read between the lines of a guy saying like, yeah, I'm good to go, or yeah, I feel good, but they've thrown back-to-back days or things like that. I think workload management has been the furthest thing from my worry with the Padres. They've been very good about that since the day I walked in the door. But I think just matching up those situations and talking to guys about where they find their success, and hearing it from the players, because I think that's something that's important to the way the team's heading is, what players think, and, having those honest conversations and not so many of those conversations where, it's kind of worried about somebody's feelings or anything like that. I don't think anybody's worried about that. You put it out there and, get your opinion heard. And, it doesn't matter about being right or wrong necessarily, but having a conversation and working to a mutual agreement, I think is going to be key.
Another great Mason Miller, number one. I'm a huge fan of Mason Miller. He seems like he's got a head on his shoulder, or head. What is it? Head on his shoulders? Yeah, I think it's head on his shoulders. I also love to hear that they are having tough conversations. I also like to hear that they communicate. It seems like the relationship is healthy in the clubhouse. It seems like the relationship with the front office is healthy between players and executives. So there's nothing to really worry about there. And I also really, really thought this was interesting. Workload management has been the furthest thing from my worry with the Padres. He said they were very good about his workload management. So it kind of gives you a little look inside and see how they're treated when they're not on the field and when we're not seeing them, when they're just, doing how they're being treated by the front office. If they're being treated poorly and they're just being thrown in there and their workload is too much, and then you go to the team and you're like, hey, my workload's too much, and they just don't really care, doesn't make you want to play for that team. But if you're Mason Miller and the Padres, the workload has not been a problem and you trust the Padres. And I think that's important because a lot of us do not a lot of us, but some of us don't think or don't trust the medical news that comes out of the Padres organization. But he kind of gave us a little bit of a look into what things are like in the clubhouse when no one else is around. Final one. This is a fun one. I did not know this, but apparently Mason Miller had Nickelback as his walk-in song last year. So Foul Territory asked him if he is going to be debuting a new song for when he enters the game this year.
About music.
Potentially. There's been conversations, and, I guess I'll put you guys in the same boat as everybody else. We'll find out when I come out of the bullpen for my first outing this year.
Is it a tough decision? Is it tough to decide between? Do you have? If you narrowed it down to because some guys are like, oh man, I got 4 songs. I'm really loving what Meek Mill's putting out, what Drake's putting out, like what Breaking Benjamin's putting out. Can you give us a genre? And is it down to 2 songs?
It's definitely down to a few songs, but kind of encapsulating that energy coming out, and then obviously with an electric stadium and fan base, you kind of see how they respond to it. Nickelback seemed to be so last year, so I think we're going to go a different route.
Nickelback seemed to be so last year. I don't know why I find that so funny, but Gonzo says something on the chat. Miller likes the vibes. He does. He really does. So if you want to see more of this, you can go to Foul Territory. They have more clips, and they have probably the full thing up there. So I really like what I'm hearing from Mason Miller, and Mason Miller was also named the 60th best player in baseball in the top 100. He's number 60. And I just got a push notification that maybe there was another one. Let me go check to make sure before I move on from this. Jackson Merrill, number 59 in the top 100 of baseball players this year. So you got number 59, you got number 60 in Mason Miller. Jackson Merrill, Mason Miller. All right, when we get back, we're going to hear from Mikey Varas, head coach of SDFC. He was on with Ben and Woods this morning, and I think if you haven't heard him yet, you'll realize why guys like to play for him. So we'll hear from Mikey Varas when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
Enjoy more ways to
Matt Skraby back here with you, broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Joseph on the chat. We're just talking about Mason Miller, talking about his walkout song when he's the closer for the Padres this year. And Joseph asked what my song would be. And my song, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not. This is where I fail a little bit in life. I am not very good at music. I have never really, well, I've definitely never been a musician. I've tried to learn different instruments, but it's never been great. I just never have been able to, I've never been able to, like, I guess finding new stuff isn't, how do I say this? Finding new music isn't the most important thing to me. I guess I like what I like. And if it comes up on my Spotify or whatever, then that's fine if it's a new song. But I guess I would have to, I've always wanted to do like heavy rock to walk out to for a song, like a, I don't know, like a Slipknot song or Slayer or something like that. I would love to do something like that because that would get people very excited for Matt Skraby to come to the plate. Dominic says that's so foreign to me. It's foreign to a lot of people. I mean, it is not normal for someone to not listen to music most of the time. I think I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I live up in North County, so I have a lot of driving to do, and I love listening to podcasts. I learn a lot in podcasts. But I did not grow up in a family that was very into music. So I guess that's how if you're not exposed to it as a kid, it's I guess you don't really develop that over time. But you know what's, I would actually really like to do something like I don't even know. It's not I don't even know the genre. Just something like, what is it? Electric? Never mind. Forget I said that. By the way, Gwen and Chris overtime video is up on the YouTube at Gwen and Chris SD. You can go see it. The guys think I'm completely disgusting. The guys think that I am a dirty human being after this. I've told this story before on the overtime, but these guys have never heard me tell this story. And so it's in the overtime video on YouTube. Just search Gwen and Chris SD and you'll be able to find it. It's the first video there. And we also, what else? Oh, we talked about, so yesterday they didn't believe me that if you put your toothbrush in the bathroom near the toilet, that your toothbrush gets gross because of the toilet flushing and all that stuff. They didn't believe me. So we talked about that. I brought some facts and stats, and they still weren't having it. Oh, yes. EDM, famous all day says EDM is what I was thinking. That would be kind of fun too. But I would probably like change my song if I wasn't playing well, I would have to change my song because obviously that's the reason I'm not playing well, right? We're going to talk about San Diego State football in the next segment. They did something pretty cool today. They scheduled an opponent that I think everybody knows who they are because of this last year. But Mikey Varas, coach of SDFC, was on with Ben Woods this morning. And if you haven't heard Mikey Varas talk before, he's a no-nonsense guy, and that's exactly what I think this city and this team needs. So Ben Woods asked Mikey Varas about Chucky Lozano. We know what happened with Chucky. There was some incident in the locker room, and he wasn't playing for a couple games, and then he came back. But they have parted ways, and here's what he said.
Well, as a club, and that's from ownership all the way down, we just decided it was best for Irving and best for the project that he's no longer part of our plans. And we would like to see him play in a World Cup. He has a World Cup on home soil. And there will be plenty of teams that will be willing to have him to help him get there. But ultimately, it will be up to Irving also and what Irving does. Irving will not be part of our plans, though. And we made that very clear to him and to his representatives, and that won't change.
I don't know what happened in the locker room that got all of this going, but it must have been pretty bad because Mikey Varas, as you heard, said, we informed him he will not be a part of our plans going forward. And that's not going to change. So one day we're going to figure out what happened. One day we will. And it has to be something terrible because I guess terrible is a bad word to use because I don't know what happened, but it has to be something that was shocking to the team and it messed with continuity, messed with chemistry. I don't know, but he's very serious in his response there. And I like that because now we can just move forward, I guess. But I will be looking out for what happened in the years to come. All right. Also, Mikey Varas, coach of SDFC, on with Ben Woods. They asked about Anders Dreyer and his extension. And Mikey Varas had a completely different tune about Anders Dreyer.
Yeah, massive commitment to show that we're here to win. And how we win and who we win with matters because Anders is a great character, top teammate, top professional. And then he obviously fits our style of play. And you can't take for granted how great of a fit he is from a style of play perspective. It's not easy to find guys who fit perfectly and are able to have big production. So from a coaching perspective, we're just so happy to have him on our team.
Yeah. Last week, last year, Anders Dreyer, I'll be honest, didn't know who he was before he came to play for SDFC, but he really proved that he can play, and he was very, very, very good. And so I'm glad that they brought him back and they extended him so that he is with the team because he, as you heard, is a big part of what they do. All right, final clip I'm going to play, and then again, you can go to 973thefansd.com if you would like to hear the full interview or the Ben Woods YouTube page, 97.3 The Fan YouTube page. How does Mikey Varas improve in 2026?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, yeah, Vancouver was really good. Those 15 minutes, it put a real uphill battle for us on the rest of the night where they came out flying and we weren't at our best. And we were very honest with ourselves about that. But then we get back in that game, you can see us building momentum and then a goal right before half, literally 5 seconds before half. Yep. It made it even harder. But what I continue to say I feel so proud about the group is down 0-3, these guys pushed that second half, and we got the 1-3 and we could have got the 2-3. And even when we took the red card, these guys just didn't stop fighting, and there's something to build on there. But what I would say is I think everybody's going to ask, they're going to ask, can they do it again? Was this just a fairy tale and will they, drop back down to an average level? And for us, that's the wrong question. The right question is, can we get better? And I'm not talking about results. I'm talking about what we do every single day from the moment we get out of our car to the moment we get back in our car to give ourselves and the city the best chance of doing something special. Because you do that over and over again, and these type of rides will be available, but it's never a guarantee in life.
I like that message. It's never a guarantee in life. I should tell Chris that. Hey, Chris and Tony. I'll just lump Tony in. I'll be like, hey, Chris, when you come to work, when you step outside that car and you close that door and you lock it, game face. And then when you get done with work and you unlock your car and you get in your car, you could be Chris again. He needs to be, I need to get more out of Chris. I need to try at least to get Chris to buy in and put his game face on. That's it for Mikey Varas. There was a comment on here that I cannot find right now, but anyway, we were talking about opening or walkout songs. Dom says, with my love of horror movies, I should do the Michael Myers theme. That is actually not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Famous All Day says, are we jumping on the bandwagon if we start rooting for SDFC in year 2? I didn't pay attention year 1, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I bet you're not alone. And I think, can you jump on the bandwagon? Yes. Jump on the bandwagon. You're San Diego and you like San Diego sports. It was their first year. Lots of people weren't even sure what was happening with MLS in San Diego. So I don't think you're the only one. I mean, of course, there's going to be some select fans out there that are going to have an issue with it, but I don't have an issue with it because you're willing to be a fan of SDFC and you're willing to learn the game of soccer. Okay. When we get back here on the Skraby Show, we're going to talk about what San Diego State did today or announced today that I think is a huge move for the Aztecs football team. We'll also just catch up on some of the stories around sports when we get back here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods.
Second time today I have started talking without hitting my mic on, which is very annoying to me. All guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Matt Skraby here with you, 97.3 The Fan in the Bill House Studios. We know how. And we're going to talk about San Diego State in just 1 second. But so the TV situation in here, we have 2 TVs for us to keep up to date on sports and stuff. And it's not a very good system that we have, in my opinion, because I am usually overruled in this room. Now, there are certain rules that we have to live by that I hate. We are not apparently allowed to watch any games that Chris is planning on watching later, which does not make any sense to me. That's number 1. Number 2, we're not allowed to watch golf if there's other sports on. Like, why can't we watch golf? I don't care about Wichita State and Florida Atlantic basketball. I don't care about any of that. So I would like to watch golf. Or I would like to put on the Golf Channel and see what's going on. But I always get overruled for something. But anyway, we had hockey on tonight. And I am not, a hockey fan, like where I'm watching on a nightly basis. But I do like to watch hockey. And it is fun to watch hockey. But the real reason I'm bringing this up is because I saw Sidney Crosby on TV. And Sidney Crosby, it makes me feel really old. It makes me feel really old because Sidney Crosby has been in the NHL forever. And the other thing that made me feel really old over the weekend, I'm 40 now. I turned 41 in May. But the other thing that made me feel really, really old was that Frank Gore Jr. is now playing in the NFL. And if you don't know, Frank Gore played in the NFL. His dad, he played for the 49ers. He played for a lot of teams, the Colts, the Dolphins, I think even the Bills. He played for a bunch of different places, but most of his career was spent in San Francisco. And Frank Gore Jr. is in the NFL, which makes me feel extremely old. I'm getting to that point where I'm seeing the kids of the guys that I watched growing up. I'm seeing their kids become professionals now. And that's hard to take sometimes. That's hard to take sometimes. Katrina said her kid just said, "You should feel really old for watching golf." No. Golf is my thing. I watch golf all the time. I haven't watched as much golf lately because I've been super busy. But back in the day, I was watching LPGA tournaments. I was watching the European Tour. I was watching the minor league tours. The what was it called? The Corn Ferry Tour. I don't think it's still the Corn Ferry Tour, but I like watching all that stuff. And golf gets a bad rap on TV, people. Golf does. I think golf might be one of the better sports to watch on TV because there's constant action. They're going from one shot to the next. So you're not just sitting there and waiting for something to happen. They're bringing it to you. I think that golf gets a really bad rap, and I think that golf on TV or the TV producing the golf has become the best in sports. All of the different things that they do on the golf broadcast are essential to watch golf now. If I don't have the shot tracer on the screen, I'm like, what am I doing here? Because I love the shot tracer. For years and years and years, you couldn't tell where the ball was going. But now you can tell where the ball is going off the club. And I like that. They also have other things. They also have these new AI type things that can predict where a ball is going to go once it leaves the club face. And I think golf is one of the top technology sports broadcasting sports in the United States. I was going to say the world, but I'm going to say in the United States. I'm going to go there. Golf is my happy place. So anyone who attacks golf is attacking me personally. Sidney Crosby, by the way, is 38 years old. So he's younger than me, but still, I've been watching that guy his entire career. All right, San Diego State football announced something huge today, like huge. And they have announced that they're going to host, not go and play, but James Madison is going to be coming to San Diego on September 19th later this year. It's going to be the last non-conference game for the Aztecs in 2026, which is their first year in the Pac-12 conference. Now, you may remember last year, and the reason I'm so excited for this is because James Madison is a good team, and before they got into Division I, they were winning everything. But last year, they ended up 12-2, and they lost to Oregon in the opening round of the college football playoff, 51-34. But I think that James Madison coming to town, even though it's not in Alabama, it's not an Ole Miss, it's not a Miami or an Indiana, James Madison is a good football team, and it will be a good test for the Aztecs. I think that is fantastic, and I think this is going to sell some tickets. I think that bringing a team like James Madison to San Diego will get people to go out there and watch because they don't have a brand name or anything like that, but people just saw them on TV, and they continue to be good year after year. In fact, Kurt Cignetti, I believe, coached at JMU before he went to Indiana. So JMU is not a program to sneeze at. They are a really good program, and this is going to be a really good test for the Aztecs. They're going to kick off the season at Snapdragon on September 5th against Portland State. Then they go to UCLA on September 12th, and then they come home and they have September 19th with James Madison. They finish their non-conference portion at Toledo. So James Madison's the final game at home before conference play begins. I guess the Pac-12 schedule is going to be announced in the coming weeks, but I like it. I like what Sean Lewis is doing. Sean Lewis seems to want to go for things. And I'm a big fan of guys who are, put their money where their mouth is. He wants to grow this program. He wants to be a top program in college football. And he's doing things that are making them, getting them closer to being considered a program to avoid in football. I didn't know where I was going with that word, avoid, but I like it. I think this is a good thing. Sean Lewis is testing his players. He's testing himself. He's testing the San Diego State football program, and he's bringing James Madison to San Diego. All right, I'm going to finish with this before the Daily Gripe, which I still really haven't even determined what my Daily Gripe is yet, but I will have that for you. We'll close with the college basketball point shaving scheme. It involves more than 39 players on 17 NCAA Division I teams, and it resulted in dozens of games of the previous two seasons being fixed by a gambling ring that included a former NBA player. This, if you want more details, you could find this story everywhere, so I'm not really going to get into the details, but this is exactly what a lot of people thought was going to happen. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. You open these things up to the evil people out there, and they will try to take advantage of it. So these players were being, approached, and they're players that aren't making a lot of money, if they're making any NIL money. So when these what are they called? The people that approach the players, they are taking advantage of someone in a bad situation. And that's what I hate, is because they're like, hey, you have an ability to make some money. Here's how you do it. You're going to, your rebounds. You're set for 3.5 rebounds. Make sure you go under. Don't get those rebounds, and we're going to give you $10,000. And then the basketball player's like, okay. $10,000. I haven't seen $10,000 since I started playing college basketball. And so they're targeting certain people for this. And again, they're taking advantage of a bad situation. But I grow further and further into the camp of NCAA sports. The people who run it have zero idea what they're doing. They're just throwing stuff up on the wall and seeing what sticks. There seems like there is zero guidance, zero plan, zero thought process into any of this. And it just became the Wild West of sports betting. And now I'm not shocked. Is anybody else shocked that 39 players were involved in a massive points shaving scandal in college basketball? I'm not. When you have big money out there and people going for that big money and people that will do anything for that big money, they don't mind throwing someone under the bus like a player. Now, I think some of these guys are probably, arrested and a part of all of this. But college sports, the NCAA, needs to wake up and figure out they are losing the battle right here. They are making college sports unlikable, and they are not doing anything about it. And that is a problem. That's a problem for me. They keep, they roll things out and then they take it back, and then they roll things out and then they take it back. Have a plan, please. College sports is broken right now. Basketball doesn't seem as bad as football, because basketball, I was always seeing guys go in and out of schools anyway. They would go to the NBA, or they would go to Europe, or they would go overseas to play somewhere. But football is the major difference, because football is now free agency. And again, I do think that these athletes need to be paid by the school. But I also think that the transfer portal is a mess. The LSU, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss situation was a mess. And it's just such bad PR. Just bad PR for college sports. And I talked to more and more people lately that are like, you know what? I'm not even watching the college football playoff because I don't even know who plays for what and who plays for who and where they play and all that. Again, the money doesn't bother me. It's the lack of leadership, which it should have, that bothers me. Jonathan says, Skraby, it's all shams. College sports are the most corrupted institution out there. I can't say if they're the most corrupted institution out there, but I can say they're very corrupted. Rod says he's got a gripe. Dude that goes to lunch with us never pays, and he took the leftovers. No more lunches with this dude. Sorry. Enough is enough. With that, Rod.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Yes, there was a player at USD that was caught in a sports betting scandal. Brandon Johnson, I believe, is what I'm getting from the chat. I do remember that. That was a big deal. It was a big deal. All right, so Rod just provided this, and it pushed me into my gripe. Someone you take to lunch, they never pay, and then they take the leftovers? I've been that person in that situation earlier on in life where I just didn't have any money to spend on lunch. So I would go and I wouldn't buy anything. But eventually people realized I wasn't buying anything because I didn't have any money. And so they gave me their leftovers, or they ordered me something. They were being very nice and kind, and I will pay it forward when I can. But for someone who never pays and then taking the leftovers, that is diabolical, is the word Joseph used. That is ridiculous. Whew. You guys are too nice to let this happen more than once. So here's my daily gripe. Since I don't drink anymore, whenever I go out with friends or I go somewhere and have dinner and we have to split the bill. Uh-oh. I just got some breaking news. Let me see. But we have to split the bill and they end up charging me for drinks. I clearly did not have a drink. So, sorry. So I don't want to pay for it. All right, this is much bigger news than my drink and paying for things. Let me make sure this is real first. It looks real. It looks real. From Fox Sports MLB, 43 seconds ago. I am looking at the account, 1.8 million followers, followed by Skip Schumacher. So this is real. Kyle Tucker is a Dodger. Ugh. That is not how I wanted to end the show. That is not how I wanted to end the show. I'm not going to complain because Kyle Tucker, whatever. But jeez, man. Like, does every great player or good player have to go play for the Dodgers or the Blue Jays at this point? This is brutal. I'm not a fan of this move. Kyle Tucker, a Dodger, according to Fox Sports MLB. And I just ran over. Have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you next week.
In the hot takes you need.